Anthropic, the company behind Claude, ChatGPT's most credible rival, just published a labor market study, and they say that 94% of jobs in the computer and math category, that's to say coding, can be automated. So then the headline reads, the workers most at risk are the highest paid and most educated. But that is not at all the finding that you think it is. Anthropic makes the AI. That's the first thing that you need to know about this study. Studies like this exist for one reason, and it's to generate headlines. Headlines get the press talking, the press gets people scared, and fear drives sales, as well as the regulations that will benefit incumbents in this category. And I know how this works because I've done it. Early in my career, I did messaging for the company that built all the voice recognition technology behind Siri. I won't say their name here. They were publicly traded at the time. And what we would do is run surveys designed to generate headlines. We'd give people a list of things that they'd rather do than, in this case, it was wait on hold with customer service. And it might be things like tear your hair out, or miss a flight, or sit in traffic for an hour. Pick one. And every time, the results of those surveys would make major news. Consumers would rather tear their hair out than speak to a customer service rep, is what the headline would say. And this spurs buying behavior in companies. The data was real, the options were engineered, and that's how this works. You engineer the choices to get the headlines you need. New research shows customers prefer automated service. That underlying data is real, but the conclusion that comes from it is largely engineered. And Anthropic did the same thing with one number, which is 94% theoretical coverage in computer and math occupations. That's the number that's driving all the headlines, because at surface level, what that says is all coding will be automated. But what it actually means, what theoretical coverage actually says, is what AI could do under perfect conditions, with no liability, no friction, no humans in the way, and perfect conditions do not exist in the real world. And furthermore, coverage does not mean what it seems to mean. They are not measuring roles. They are measuring tasks, individual, discrete tasks. So a lawyer's job has dozens of tasks. And if AI can theoretically handle a few of them, maybe drafting a standard clause or summarizing a document, then that role shows up in the data as highly exposed. But that lawyer isn't being replaced. 3 of their to-do items just got cheaper to execute. But what technologists consistently do is overestimate the rate of change and underestimate everything that slows adoption down. Self-driving cars have been technically capable in controlled conditions for over a decade, but there are still 3.5 million truck drivers on the road. So what does the data actually say? In computer and math occupations, the most theoretically exposed category, the theoretical AI capability is 94%. But the observed capability is 33%, 61-point spread. That gap is the story. Anthropic's own measure shows that what is actually happening today is a very small fraction of coders' work is being automated. And then with that, the whole displacement narrative collapses around it. Why does this gap exist? The reason sits in what these models actually do. So a few weeks ago, I was talking with a senior partner at a big law firm, and I asked him if he thought that AI would really kill law. So he bought the tools for his firm. The firm had spent all this money, and then the mandate came down, use the tools, and so they did. The AI was touching document review and discovery. The firm spent a lot of money, and then the mandate came down, use the tools. And so everyone in the firm did. They were using them for discovery. They were using them for document review, all of the use cases of AI. Everything ultimately took 3 times longer. So here's what actually happened. Junior associates would run discovery through the AI per the mandate, but then they would redo it themselves because they didn't trust the output. And then the people above them would check that work because they didn't trust that the juniors were checking it. Sorry, my dog is barking. 1 second. In the book AI Snake Oil, they call this automating bullshit. The philosopher Henry Frankfurt defined bullshit as speech that's intended to persuade without regard for the truth. And in this sense, chatbots are bullshitters. They are trained to produce plausible text, not true statements. They have no mechanism for truth. They learn patterns and they remix them. The output sounds confident. It's not reliable. And in any professional context where the output carries liability, legal or medical or financial, every plausible result needs a human behind it. Also critical that we understand that this is not new technology behaving in an unexpected way. Generative AI is the latest rung on a ladder that's been climbing for 80 years, from programmable computers to machine learning to deep learning to the instruction-tuned transformer models we use today. Each rung reduced the cost of automating a new category of task. What changed in 2022 is the interface, not the underlying dynamic. The models started using natural language, which made it publicly accessible for us all to use. In much the same way that you would never go to a construction site today and find somebody hand nailing every nail in a building, they would be using a nail gun. This is what we will see in the white collar workplace of tomorrow. And we know how these diffusion curves behave. Individual adoption comes first. Market reorganization comes much, much later. And the real gap in the workplace is something much different. It's accountable versus unaccountable. Quick note, if you want to stay ahead of how this is actually playing out, not the headline version, the data version, I publish a weekly newsletter where I break down exactly this kind of research. The link is below. It's free. More than 10,000 people from 50 countries are already subscribed. With that, back to the video. It comes down to tasks, not roles. The people at risk are not educated workers. They are unaccountable workers. They're the ones whose job title never had to answer the question, what outcome do you own? An attorney whose entire job is to simply read documents and pick out clauses, and the rainmaker partner who's responsible for all the judgment, the client relationships, the thinking, both of those people are lumped in under automating the legal profession. But one is very much valuable and one is very much at risk. Every knowledge job has 4 layers. At the top is strategy, judgment, decisions, what actually matters. Below that is problem framing. Below that, execution, right? The analysis, the writing, the code, and at the very bottom is the getting stuff done. Summarizing, first drafts, basic research, and AI is removing those bottom layers. That is not a threat to everyone. It's a threat to the people who never moved off the bottom rung. The credentials said that they had, right? You're still an attorney, even if all you're doing is picking out clauses from a document, but the work said otherwise. Strategy and problem framing don't just survive this, they become more valuable. More ease of output means more junk is created, which means knowing what to focus on is even more important. The question that's of paramount importance today is not whether you have a degree. It's where you actually live in that stack. If you're early in your career, the move isn't to have all the answers. It's to be the person who keeps asking the right questions. The Sovereign Individual, which Peter Thiel called one of his favorite books, made a prediction back in 1997 that nobody took seriously at that time, but has become incredibly prescient, which is technology reaches individuals before it reorganizes markets. Always. The internet did it, mobile did it, and AI is doing it now. And that gap between what individuals can do today and what the market has reorganized around is where we are, and it's where the opportunity is. What AI will amplify depends on what you bring to it. Bring judgment, an owned process, and it will make you faster and harder to compete with and more valuable. If all you do is bring rote task execution inside someone else's system, it's going to make you visible in a way that you weren't before. The question is not whether AI is coming for your field. The question is whether you're positioned to be amplified or replaced when it arrives. This is the K-shaped economy playing out in real time. You're going to have owners of leverage on the top and those who are leveraged for someone else on the bottom. But here's where the conventional advice gets it exactly backwards. The advice everywhere right now is learn the tools, right? Add AI to your workflow, upskill or get left behind, but that is still task execution. You're just changing the task. The actual move is process expertise. You want to learn how to own a process that's going to take a very specific someone and move them from over here, which is unhappy or confused or overwhelmed and over here, to happy, right? One is a line item on someone else's budget and the other is a process. That is leverage. That is what compounds, and it gets more valuable as the tasks around it get cheaper. AI will produce a confident first draft of almost anything, but it can't tell you which problem is worth solving or which client is ready to hear the answer or what happens when the strategy hits the room. All the judgment that is necessary to actually make things live in the real world, wrapped in a repeatable process, that is what survives. Generalists get busy, specialists get rich, and what survives is not more education. It's a specific process that solves a problem that someone is already trying to solve. But knowing that and knowing where you stand are different things. And here's the thing. Most people watching this think that they're on the right side of this. Most people think that they're the exception. So here's a simple test. One question. Can you finish this sentence? I own a process that either produces revenue or protects margin, and that process is what? If you can fill that blank in clearly in one sentence, you have real leverage. If you can't, that is the work. The fear narrative serves the people selling the tools. The data tells a different story, one where the window between individual adoption and market reorganization is still open. That window is where leverage gets built. I've made 2 videos on exactly what that looks like in practice. They're linked here.